Coach Riley?
Yeah, it's tough to describe right now. It's a hell of a college football game. An epic Rose Bowl game. And being on this side of it is it's difficult to describe. The disappointment, the hurt that we feel, that those guys in that locker room feel right now. Some of them came in, telling me sorry and telling us sorry, and I said, don't tell us you're sorry. Our team put it on the line. They laid it on the line every snap. We weren't perfect. We did a lot of really good things on both sides of the ball, but we certainly weren't perfect. Had some opportunities. Let the game get back a little bit closer there in the third quarter, and at that point it became, it was going to come down to one play here or there, and it did. But it's been a great run. Senior class has been tremendous. I mean, to win 3 straight Big 12 championships, be in this college football playoff twice. And then just especially this year, there's a lot of reasons this team could have turned the wrong direction, from the coaching change, the Iowa State loss, just all the things that this team had to battle through. And I'm proud as hell to be their coach. It's been a great season, and I think we'll set the stage for even bigger things here in the next few years. So we'll go questions from there.
News team, assemble!
It's time for the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Featuring site publishers Carey Murdoch and Josh McCuistion, along with videographer Eddie Radosevich. It's the unofficial 40 on Soonerscoop.com.
All right, we are back. That's right, back from the depths of hell. The 104th, I believe, annual Rose Bowl, where the Sooners fall to to Georgia in double overtime. I think I was watching something on Auburn before we started the show. Carey Murdoch here with you alongside Eddie Radosevich. Josh McCuistion is joining us. You heard Lincoln Riley there. Those were his opening comments after the – hell, I don't even know what the score was. Was it 56-48? Something? I guess I should turn Eddie's mic on.
54-48.
54-48. Who the hell knows?
And I think I put 51-48 in like the post-game thread, like the video thread, and nobody even said anything.
Eddie Radosevich, by the way, no longer just Sooner Scoop videographer. He's Sooner Scoop photographer.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had to take photos during the game because they don't allow...
I'm a professional now.
All that video that we make tons of money off of, they're protecting it. They don't let us shoot video at the big bowl games now. So Eddie took photos. We're back from Los Angeles. I apologize that we didn't get a podcast done last week. It wasn't that we couldn't do it. It's just there wasn't time. I mean, there was every day. It was press conference, practice, writing, stories, all this stuff. Eddie needed his time to go out and be Big Daddy all through L.A.
And I was.
He was Big Baller Eddie.
And I was, and I
hanging with stars of the Dallas radio scene.
I almost died on Saturday morning.
It wasn't pretty. I mean, I didn't think there was any way that Eddie was going to make it. And that wasn't Friday morning. It was the final press conference day, which would have been Sunday. The morning press conference. Josh, that was
might have still been drunk.
Josh, I think he probably was. It was very reminiscent of the time that I found you sleeping on the floor at Rivals Publishers Convention when you were a young man.
That story doesn't get enough credit. That was really me at peak Josh. That was strong.
It's hard to imagine that there was a peak Josh. Now it's the wakes up almost as early as I do every day, Josh.
Yep. Yeah, there are Eddie doesn't know what this world's like. There are literally, I wouldn't say months, but there are weeks that go by that I don't even have a sip of alcohol. And
before there was Eddie, there was Josh. I'm just telling you guys.
There was a good amount of debauchery in my 20s.
I'm old enough to have seen 2 Eddies come through my life.
Carey, I felt really bad for you the entire trip, though. I mean, you were getting up literally at 3:30 in the morning. That was a shitty way to live.
Well, it was. And people kept asking me, like, how are you doing it? And I was like, I'm fine.
I think you were just so tired that you didn't even realize what you were doing.
Well, yeah, and then by the end of the week, more people just kept asking me, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? And I wasn't taking any naps or anything.
Start doubting yourself.
It got to my head. It was like, it's like if you have a no-hitter, you don't talk about the no-hitter. I had a no-hitter going, and people wanted to talk about it, and eventually I was like, shit, I've got a no-hitter. I'm gonna give up a hit, and I did. So I came home sick. So yeah, I got sick again.
It was. I will say though, I mean, we'll get into the game and everything that entailed the week, but that was. I don't know what I was expecting when we showed up in LA on Monday night, but I think the entire week lived up to
the billing.
Yeah, that was probably.
I don't think there was that much billing.
Well, that's true, and it was just
nobody was like, "Oh, this is going to be the
oh, it's going to suck. You're going to LA
college football playoff that's ever been played." Nobody thought that.
No, it was just from the game, the week, and everything that entailed. It was top notch.
I got to be
honest.
Very
memorable week.
I didn't pay attention to a lot of the news and notes after it was over. I was just kind of trying to help you out with video some, and I got up the next morning, kind of wrote my story. But is that the only overtime game college football playoffs ever had?
Yes. I think Trammell said that there were two BCS overtime games.
Okay.
Or three. And OU's been involved.
Ohio State, Miami was
Ohio
one,
State,
right?
Miami. Boise State, OU.
Yeah.
And then it would have been last night. Or
so OU's 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3, yeah. I think that's right. I think that's what he said.
We got lots of stuff to get into today. I had a chance to go over and talk to Lincoln Riley yesterday. And look, it has been nonstop. You guys know how this goes. It's just like, it's the internet. And every one of I get into this discussion with people all the time. It is the basis of our board. It is the basis. It is what has spawned fan websites that want to be reporters. Everybody has their source. And after the game was over, everyone had their source on what had gone down with Mike Stoops, that he had been fired. I think, Josh, I don't know if you got this email. I'll just say it. It's good old CT Sooner emailed me saying he had a great source that said Mike Stoops and Lincoln Riley got into a shouting match with each other and he was fired on the spot.
I did not get that email. Not get that? And it'll be interesting to hear the feedback we get on that. But I definitely heard the rumors that there was just a huge shouting match and they'd gone their separate ways and everyone knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, and that never happened. Stuff just keeps getting invented because people want Mike Stoops to be fired so badly.
They want to believe anything that's
they'll believe anything that's said. It's unbelievable to me. What was it? I said this on Twitter yesterday. I'm going to make a list of all the Mike Stoops rumors that have been out there because they've been so crazy. I mean, someone told me that he's definitely resigning on Friday. I can tell you, I've talked to Mike Stoops. I talked to him yesterday. He's not resigning on Friday.
He laughed about it.
I'm not going to say really what he's got. Just from the tone I got from talking to him, he's not resigning. He's trying to find a way to make this defense better and to recruit better. And really, that's what it came down to. And I'll just go ahead and play this right now because I was the one that asked Lincoln yesterday kind of about where he is with this defense, and it's a two-parter, but it's a long answer. But this is what I think everybody wants to hear.
I know you don't really care what the people are saying out there, but overwhelmingly, people are concerned about the defense after giving up that many points. How do you address that moving forward? Do you have concerns yourself? I mean, winning a championship seems like it takes a little bit better defense of product than maybe what you guys are putting on the field.
Yeah, I don't know. We've won 3 of them, not the big one. But we've won 3 in a row. So I think people got to look back at the last 3 years too. I mean, we've had 3 straight Big 12 championships, 2 playoff appearances, and we've played in the Orange, Sugar, and Rose Bowl the last 3 years. So there's a lot that's working too. No doubt. Do we need to get better? Yeah, of course we do. We need to get better on all the sides of the ball. It's about putting one team together that can give yourself a chance to win it. We've done it here the last few years. Those will be conversations that we have as we kind of do our year in review and self-evaluate. I think a lot of that's going to improve just with recruiting. I think that's always the biggest issue. You look on the field at the two defenses, and one of them looked a little bit different than the other just physically. So we gotta continue to grow in that area, and I think we're starting to. I mean, the young guys that contributed this year, this class, you just take the guys that we just signed, and we're getting ready to sign some other pretty good ones here. I think that's getting ready to happen. So, but we gotta coach better. We gotta play better. We gotta recruit better. I mean, that's how you take steps forward on all three sides of it.
Do you still feel like Mike is the guy for you at defense coordinator? Because he's just taking a beating out there.
Yeah, that's part of this job. I'm sure all of us are taking a beating right now. That's a good thing is people could say it, but I don't have to listen to it. And that's kind of part of how it goes. I get it. The coordinators, head coach, and quarterback are the people when you don't win a game that are going to take a beating. And probably the same people that after the Big 12 championship game when we hold down a good TCU offense and beat them twice in a row and win that everybody's singing your praises. That's the nature of the beast with this deal. So Mike's a really good coach. I do. I have a lot of confidence in him, as I do our whole staff. To do what this staff and this program did this year with all the changes and all that, it's unprecedented. And people better remember that too.
Here's the thing: if you are ahead, and Bob Stoops kind of taught me this just over a long stretch of time. If you believe in something, keep believing in it, regardless of what the noise is around you. I mean, everybody believes, for the most part, that Mike Stoops should no longer be the defensive coordinator, and I understand why. I totally understand why. But the thing is, Lincoln Riley is the guy that spends all the time with him in the coaching offices. Ruffin McNeil knows defense. He knows Mike Stoops. He knows what he's trying to do. Bob Stoops knows what they're trying to do. For whatever reason, fans have to realize that Lincoln Riley sees something in Mike Stoops that says he should still be our defensive coordinator. I know you don't believe that, and it makes a lot of people say, well, I mean, a lot of people have said this to me. They said, well, then Lincoln Riley needs to be fired, or Lincoln Riley doesn't know what he's talking about. Like,
maybe your bitch ass needs to be fired for saying something like that.
But what it comes down to is people, they want Mike Stoops gone, and they're willing to say anything to make it happen, including making up rumors. And it's that time. I understand it. I'm just telling you, Lincoln Riley. It's not vote of confidence. It is Lincoln Riley believes that Mike Stoops is a good defensive coordinator. Now, you heard him say in there recruiting, and I think the most, I guess, damaging thing that he said in there was when you look at Georgia and you look at us, those are two different teams on defense. And he's right, Josh.
Oh, he's 100% right. I mean, you look at their personnel, it's different. And to me, that's what I cling on to in that quote and all that audio we just played. That's my problem with it. Because it's not like Mike just showed up and was handed these cards. These are the guys he recruited.
Yeah.
These were guys he signed off on. Bob signed off on. Now, I'm not saying that these were the guys that if OU could have anybody in the country, these are the guys they would have wanted. I'm not making that case. I understand that in a lot of cases they were not. I think you could say Neville Gallimore, Amani Bledsoe. But, I mean, by and large, those are not the guys that OU wanted first top of the litter. But at the same time, what are we on? 7 years now? Is that right?
Mike would have come back.
5.
He came back. He would have come back
12.
the summer before Stephen Parker's junior year, right?
You mean in high school?
Yeah, in high school.
Okay, I was like, yeah. So 6 years.
Yes.
So 11. Okay, but I mean that's 3 full full cycles of seniors. Like, I get that. I agree with Lincoln completely. That's not the same personnel. Wow, I'm dying over here. And I understand that there is it's tougher. I mean, there are more guys in Georgia. Georgia can never leave their own state and could start a really good 11 on defense. Like,
yeah,
I get it.
I saw a graphic of where all the players were from. Did you see that in the college football playoff? Like Oklahoma, where all their players are from, Georgia, Alabama. Like
Yeah.
Georgia's, all their players were from 2 states.
Oh yeah, Georgia has one from Washington, Jacob Eason, their now backup quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's pretty much it when you looked around the country. They recruit the Southeast. So I mean, I get that. I do. I understand that it's more difficult, all those things. But at the same time, like I don't, and that's why, everybody's like, oh, wholesale changes on defense. You're going to blame Ruffin McNeil because the defensive line's not right and he's been there 6 months? Like, that's not
Well,
on
let me
Ruffin
ask you
McNeil.
this.
It's
Okay,
got
let me
nothing to
ask
do
you
with him.
this, Josh, because we all know defensive line, I would say, is as bad as linebacker recruiting has been, defensive line is the biggest problem of this defense because you're throwing guys out there like Kenneth Mann, who is one of your best players, yet he's 280 pounds, if that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you lost Matt Romar. That's a tough loss. I mean, he was a decent player, but he wasn't a great player. He was a decent player, but some size that could have played a zero technique for you that could have helped you out a lot, as much as Overton's helping you out. But here's what I want to know, Josh. So ever since Jackie Shipp, it's just been a constant revolving door of defensive line coaches. Jerry Montgomery, Dyron Reynolds, then Calvin Thibodeau came in. Let me ask you, like, how much knowing as valuable as that position is, and relationships that how valuable relationships are at that position, even how much has that really hurt OU as much as anything? Just having that revolving door of defensive line coaches.
Oh, it hurts a lot. I mean, and you look at, and I think that's something also that's been an issue, is that's something Calvin's had to fight. Jerry Montgomery didn't really have any track record, but he'd been around some places. People kind of knew him. He'd been at Michigan, so there was some name recognition there, and he could go in to some places. Deron Reynolds could say, hey, I coached the NFL. Calvin hasn't had that thing he could fall back on yet just because he's such a young guy. Like, it's not his fault. Bob hired him. Bob believed in him. But he doesn't have a track record because look at all these NFL guys I got. But now he's starting to build that. Today is a great example. Dorrance Armstrong, the guy at Kansas, just announced he's going to the NFL. He'll be a top 2 or 3 round pick that Calvin can say, I recruited him. I saw him. We had him on the right track as a freshman. And hell, he was better as a freshman under Thibodeau at Kansas than he was as a junior without him. So, I mean, there are some good things there, but there's no question. You can't, at such a key position. I mean, look on the opposite side of the ball. Bill Bedenbaugh. It's not coincidence that he's been there. Nothing's changed. Nothing's moved. And that offensive line, even losing the best offensive lineman he's produced at Oklahoma, Orlando Brown, they're going to be fine next year. They're still going to be really, really good on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a matter of how good they are with whoever replaces Orlando Brown, be it Adrian Ely or whatever direction they go in.
Well, I think you look at just the defense overall. Tim Kish has not gotten it done at linebacker recruiting, but just break down for everybody defensive line, linebacker recruiting. I mean, you got Jalen Redmond coming in. You got some rush ins that you're confident can be potential difference makers. How quickly can guys come in next year and make this defense better, Josh? And who are those guys for the people? The people listen.
Listen, people.
They haven't already turned it off after we said Mike shouldn't be killed in a fire.
Yes, no, the 4 people that are still listening, take us in.
We'll get back. I'm going to give you something. Just stay tuned. I'm going to give you something that is a little interesting, and I'm not saying I'm being a crap starter, but I might be starting some crap.
Well, you look at, I've been, guys, and we'll get into this in a little bit, but I've been in San Antonio this week watching 2 Army All-Americans, Ronnie Perkins and Ron Tatum, that have already signed with Oklahoma. Ronnie Perkins will be at Oklahoma in 2 weeks' time. So, there is reason to think things are getting better. Of Oklahoma's entire defensive line, Neville Gallimore is the only guy that's been at that level.
By the way, what the hell has happened to?
A good player,
can somebody tell me what the hell's happened to Neville Gallimore? Because I don't even think the coaching staff knows what's happened to him.
You read my mind, because I had a conversation with somebody the other day when we were talking about all this Mike stuff in our little group text. I was talking to somebody, and we've got to get him going. We've got to figure out what's good. Because I think we all expected it, and talking to some of my guys, and I'm sure you guys have had the same conversations, they all expected it. Like, I think OU thought he was really going to become a guy this year, and that just didn't happen. He was – where would you guys have him? OU's 4th or 5th best defensive lineman this year? Maybe?
Maybe.
I mean, I'd have Lampkin ahead of him. I'd have Bledsoe.
I can't think of a time.
DJ Ward.
I can't think of a time that he made like dominant plays. He chased a couple quarterbacks down and made him throw against maybe a Tulane or a UTEP. Yeah. But I mean, towards the end of the year, there was a good period of time where he just wasn't playing.
He's just gone.
Yep. And I thought maybe the time off, him getting healthy, I think we even talked about it in the pod last time, that maybe that was going to help him and he'd be a little better and cleaner. And I didn't notice him at all against Georgia.
I just think it's bizarre that Ruffin McNeil can get through to Devontae Lampkin, who is a guy I think we all probably, after we heard about that 6-game suspension, we thought, that dude's going to wash out. He's never going to be anything. He's actually become OU's only real, playmaker at the nose position.
They need 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, and then Ruffin McNeil has pulled that out of him, and he can't seem to pull anything out of Neville Gallimore, which makes me believe completely that it's all Neville Gallimore. I'm blaming Canada.
It's an indictment on Canada.
Yeah, I'm blaming Canada.
Justin Trudeau.
Damn free health care. But no, because guys, I mean, you looked at his tape, and this isn't a guy that OU liked and maybe other people didn't. Neville Gallimore took official visits to Florida State. I mean, he could have went. Ohio State was in his recruitment. Like, he could have went to all of the big boys. And I know we go back and forth about where we stand on Jerry Montgomery, but Jerry Montgomery nailed him. I mean, he landed him. That was his big home run get.
It was his
and early on, it looked like it was a home run. And this year, man, it just didn't come together. And I don't know what the story was.
But, I mean, that's a pretty good example of what's happened to the defensive line. I mean, that's one guy that you can't afford. You can't afford to miss on these guys. And I'm not saying they're missing. I mean, nobody's missing on some of these, top 100 kids. It's just, are they busts or not? I mean, so far, Neville Gallimore has been a bust. You can't afford busts at defensive line recruiting at Oklahoma. Maybe you can at Ohio State. Maybe you can at, Alabama. You can't afford it at Oklahoma.
So there's reason to think though that this defense is going to be better. They're returning a lot of guys.
But yeah, we were talking. I'm sorry, I took us off track.
No,
I
got sidetracked.
Guys that were coming in this recruiting class, and I know there's all kinds of stuff out there about Nick Bonito, but you can address that too. But just how much better can they get with the class coming in, Josh?
They can get better. I mean, I think there is reason to think that there is room for improvement. What's still interesting is when you look at what they're doing up front with the guys they're recruiting, there is still that question of what is OU going to be going forward? Are they going to stick with this 3-man? Or was that more of, okay, we had Stryker, okay, then we feel like we had Obo, and those were our 2 best guys, and we're going to tailor things to them. Now you kind of move away, and you don't have that clear guy that's their next pass rusher, is that stand-up edge jack guy. So what are you going to do now? And I mean, there are arguments to be made with their personnel that they could move back to a 4-man front and be pretty comfortable. So it's really interesting to see. But I mean, like I said, Ronnie Perkins is a guy, I feel it, and I've talked to other people that agree. He'll play next year. I mean, that's what they expect of him. He looks good at Army. He's went toe-to-toe with, OU commitments, Bray Walker, Darrell Simpson, and guys on the other squad. I think he'll have a good game on Saturday when you watch him. The guy that, to me, is the real question, and physically is better, probably, if you look around the state of Oklahoma, which is a great year at the top of Oklahoma, the only guy other than Bray Walker that has that, all the measurables, all the physical talent, everything you could ever want, it's Ron Tatum.
But it's just whether or
all
not
the stuff.
you
but
can get it out
there's
of him.
times when I watch him, and I sent Eddie the video from him the first half of Army practice on Tuesday morning, and he didn't do anything, guys. He just stood around and he kind of stuttered his feet, and and they're doing one-on-ones, and he didn't look like he cared at all. It was the same stuff I've always had a problem with Ron. Then in the afternoon he comes back, and he's beating the crap out of people, and you're just like, who are you? Like, which guy do you want to be? Because if Ron Tatum wants to be great, Ron Tatum's a first-round pick. I mean, he's that talented. But if he's going to be half-assed, he'll wash. I mean, it's going to be the same thing we just talked about with Lampkin. Like, they're either going to reach him and it's going to connect and it's going to make sense, and he'll be a legit, we can take him to Georgia, we can take him to Alabama, and he can help us win football games, or he's a guy that won't be able to play against, Kansas. So it's just, where do you go? And then you throw in Jalen Redmond, who I think is probably a bigger, stronger, more athletic's not the right word, but better in space, Obo. I mean, Jalen he can do all the things that Obo can do, and I think he's better against the run. I think he can work, dropping into the pass if OU wants to do some of that with him. He's tremendously gifted. So for Oklahoma to have those three guys on the edge, that's the start, and you've got to build off it. You've got to put another class, because that's where Georgia won. They could just keep throwing bodies and bodies and bodies at Oklahoma. And OU, it's great to have a good starting three. They don't even have that right now. They've got to get that hill climb and then keep adding people. That's why OU's offense is so dominant, because they can throw out, Mark Andrews nicked his ankle. We'll throw Grant Calcaterra out there. I mean, they can do that offensively. They've got to get to where they can do it on defense.
It baffles me, now that you look at it, that OU is the only team in this region now that's gone to multiple college football playoffs. And, that Texas A&M or Texas would ever win a recruiting battle for a great defensive player. It's baffling to me. Why would that have... if you want a chance to go and make a difference on a huge stage, there's a better guarantee that that's going to happen at Oklahoma than anywhere else in this region. I mean, I could see Bobby Brown going to Alabama, but my God, what are you thinking?
And you look around, and I'm trying to pull them up real quick as we're kind of having this conversation, but you look at our Texas top state rankings, you've got a cornerback at the top, Anthony Cook, and he'll fall. I've been telling people for months he's not what we've got him at, and I think that's going to change, but that's neither here nor there. Anthony Cook, number 1 player in Texas, corner. Number 2 guy, safety, B.J. Foster. Number 4 guy, corner. Number 5 guy, safety. Number 10, we'll stick with those 5. Those guys are all going to Texas. All 4 of those guys are elite DBs that are going to Texas. What has Texas shown you that makes you feel like that's the answer?
I think that a lot
I don't
of
understand it.
I think a lot of that is just going back into the fight that Oklahoma has been battling forever against these Texas kids. They grow up in the state. There's so much state pride in going to the University of Texas, and so much, I think, notoriety as well, just with classmates and family and everybody else, that that's where you go if you grow up in Texas. You go to Texas, and they will go to Texas as long as Texas has a football program. It doesn't matter if they're 2-8, 3-9, 4-7,
but that's
whatever.
the thing, and the reason that they're going to Texas, this is the age-old argument. That's the reason Oklahoma beats Texas, is because Texas has got a bunch of guys that are just happy to be there, going to Texas, versus guys that are going somewhere to win football games.
Right.
Is there any of those guys give a shit about winning football games?
Well, and on the flip side, guys, this is what we always get into when people ask me, why does OU go to California and recruit so much? Why does OU go to all these other places? Because they can go get the same kind of guys they could get out of Texas that are going to UT and A&M for some unknown reason. There's not that state loyalty in California. Caleb Kelly grows up in Fort Worth. He probably goes to UT.
It's because they do parades.
They do love a parade.
The parades are bigger than the football.
And Scientology.
I didn't see any Scientology over there. No, but yeah, it is like if you live in California, I can understand. Eddie and I were just there for 8 days. I can understand not being interested in football if you live in California.
Oh,
there's a lot of things to do.
Tons of stuff to do.
Beautiful weather.
Absolutely gorgeous weather. You don't have to worry. And walking around Pasadena, I'm the biggest UCLA critic of all time. I can see why a kid would want to go there and play football. That'd be awesome. But at the same time, I don't know. It seems like the guy that can finally figure out how to get the 5-star linebacker or the 5-star. OU would take a high 4-star linebacker at this point. If they could figure out a way to get those kids, it's like they'll have cracked the code.
Everybody's fighting over Deshaun White. He's not even a 4-star.
He is. He moved in the
250
in the last one.
Okay.
But you've been right for a huge amount of time. So yeah.
Until now. Now you're wrong.
Yeah. Now you're wrong.
OU's been looking to get over the hump for so long on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know. That's why I might fall back into the idea that maybe, and nothing against Mike, maybe it is an answer to go out and get a new voice of something. But it certainly appears today that that's not going to happen on January 4th. So, you're going to have to figure out a way to go out and get these kids, or it's going to be the same thing over and over.
Is it me, or am I crazy? If Lincoln Riley does not hire this 10th assistant on the defensive side of the ball, it's a failure. I'm going to say that right now.
It's insane.
It's insanity.
There's no way. Now, if you want to, okay, guys, let's say Tim Kish is not going to, let's assume status quo remains with the 9 guys that are there. Nothing changes. You have to accept that either A, Tim Kish isn't getting it done, or B, is your oldest coach is probably going to retire at some point, right? There's not going to be 8 more years of Tim Kish. That seems unlikely. So would you get a linebackers coach and let him work with Tim and kind of have, he'll take the reins when Tim's gone and then we'll hire somebody else?
Do you really need 3 linebacker coaches? I guess
they'd almost have more coaches at linebacker than they have linebackers available.
Oh God, that's bad. That's so freaking true.
You could easily move Mike. You could easily move Mike back to the secondary if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think it would be a failure of an offseason if they don't make any changes on the defensive side of the ball.
But I'll say this. How can you not hire an offensive guy when Lincoln Riley is coordinator and head coach? He needs somebody.
He does, but we walked out of the first half of that game thinking Lincoln Riley, he didn't push a button that didn't work. And then everybody looks at the second half.
Except for the squib kick. That was a bad button.
The squib kick, and that's debatable on who's in charge of that.
That's not on Lincoln. Everybody's trying to make that it was a smart call. It just didn't get executed right. I've got no problem with that. Carey, okay, I want to get back to something because I want to ask you, because I know you, from talking to Lincoln, obviously you're the person to talk to. Okay, obviously we know what Lincoln said yesterday. I think, reading his quotes, I felt like there was some wiggle room in some of what he said. Now I could just be like you're talking about everybody else, trying to look for something. I get that. That's fine.
Say I'm close.
I'm sorry.
I thought you were trying to you were going to play a perfect part and it was just going to spike it in my face.
No, I know what you're talking about, and
but do you think what would you say the odds are that starting next season, Mike Stoops is OU's defensive coordinator?
I would say 60%.
Okay, that's about where I'm at. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, I wasn't sure if I was just way off the mark.
He's the favorite to be the defensive coordinator. Yeah. But I'll say this. I think a lot of people have told me this, and I think people close to Mike have even told him this. Dude, get out of here. Go get another job somewhere. It's better for your sanity than to deal with this. And I was asking you about the 10th assistant coach because Lincoln was asked about it yesterday, and he had a couple of really interesting. This is my crap starter segment. He had a couple of really interesting things to say, and it's probably some of the quotes that you read.
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm close. I think I've put some thought into it, and then once we got into Georgia prep, I kind of put it out of my mind for a while. So I'll kind of get back on it here the next few days. But I will say that I don't feel a sense of urgency right now to get it done right on that day. So I wouldn't be expecting it if I were you guys right on that day. To me, it's more important to make sure we get the right guy, not just the right guy, but that it fits within the staff. You got to see how the staff shakes out. When you win as much as we have, people already have been, and will continue, to be going after our guys. So, there may be a deal where if your staff is in place like it is, you may have a clear direction, but if something changes, then that might affect what you want to do with the 10th coach. So, we'll kind of see how it all plays out.
Now, I know, that's the thing about this whole deal is everybody jumps to conclusions on everything. So I think what a lot of people just heard is, oh, Mike could leave for another job. I think that's what everybody wants to have heard him just say when he said, you don't know, other people have inquired about our coaches. I'm more inclined to believe it could be like Cale Gundy or somebody like that. Maybe even a Carey Cooks or maybe even Calvin Thibodeau. I don't. It doesn't mean that he's saying Mike might not be here, but it doesn't mean he's not saying that either.
It's interesting.
Well, because Carey, the perfect example is when that whole stuff with Mike was going down. And then yesterday morning when you posted those notes, hey, guys, this is not what it sounds, it doesn't sound like anything is imminent here. And we got that private message, and I won't go into who sent it. I don't want to put anybody out there. But it was why did Brendan Radley Hiles say a defensive coordinator was going to get fired?
Well, that's the other thing.
He didn't say that.
No, he never said that.
Coordinator. He just said a coach.
He said he was told that coach 20 minutes ago was not going to be was let go or something like that. And then everyone jumps to the conclusion, oh, it's Mike Stoops.
And everyone assumed that whoever told him that just knew.
Well, everybody assumed that Carey Cooks told Brendan Radley Hiles that Mike Stoops was going to be fired.
It's just this,
and it could have been his mother heard the rumor. It could have been anywhere.
It could have been a coach from Florida State. I mean,
I know a few people that thought maybe there was some Clemson connection to that conversation.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, don't you definitely get the feeling like Clemson, like his family would be pushing him toward Clemson pretty strongly if they found out that there was a coaching change at Oklahoma?
Sure. Well, and look at Dabo with his whole thing with Jackson Carman. I don't know if you guys even saw that, where he was saying Urban Meyer's old and going to retire before too long. Like, Clemson's not above that game like that. I mean, and I don't care. That's fine. That recruiting is pretty much all is fair at this point in the world. But like, let's not pretend that Clemson wouldn't take that shot if they had it.
I totally see Dabo as a guy that has got people surfing every OU fan site out there trying to find a rumor so he can send it to a recruit.
Oh, I mean, and that's just the norm. Like, I know when Urban Meyer went on that rampage early in the year against Tom Herman, when Herman was like, these aren't our player, kind of that whole thing, and Meyer was like, oh, these guys are all my players. From the minute I step on campus, that's what I do. I've talked to a lot of people that think that was a clear and direct message for Anthony Cook. Like, that was all a recruiting pitch, and he threw Herman under the bus to try and win a recruit. So, I mean, that stuff happens all the time.
But, Lincoln kind of continued and talked about a little bit more about the staff hire and said similar things again.
I don't think we have a place where I feel like on staff that there's just like this glaring need right now that this one area is just not getting enough attention, so I don't think there's one obvious one right now. There's some options to me that are obvious as far as if the staff stays intact, where we could bring somebody in to help supplement us, but I don't think we have just that one big gaping hole right now.
So he said it again. If the staff remains intact. Why would he say that twice? I feel like we're doing the Truther podcast now.
We know I love odds, and we'll throw that out there again.
I'm surprised Eddie hasn't jumped on this.
Yeah, Eddie's been quiet.
I would have fired Mike Stoops on Monday. So, I mean, they're doing the same thing over and over again. I think it's time to get a new voice in there. It's kind of like what they did with the offense. It worked out pretty well, didn't it?
Here's what it is to me. This is more than anything.
Like, they keep doing the same thing over and over again, and they expect different results. I just don't understand that. Maybe there's a reason they're not getting these big guys. And you can blame it on the conference, but at some point, give somebody else an opportunity. It can't get any worse. They gave up 54 points.
It was bad.
They gave up 54 points and a defense that looked like they literally had a month to prepare and weren't able to line up correctly. That doesn't make sense to me. Whose fault is that I mean, you got into the idea that the linebackers weren't prepared. Well, Kenneth Murray had to play because he was a freshman, all of that. But at the same time, they had a month to get ready. I don't understand how you don't. Did Georgia just come out? I mean, Josh, you did the under the hood. Did Georgia just come out in formations that they had never seen before?
Hell no. Georgia did the same stuff they've done all year. The only thing that Georgia changed helped OU. They tried to prove in that first half that they could throw the damn ball.
Yeah.
If they would have just run it, I mean, that first half would have looked very different. And and you're right, Eddie. Like, you can talk about personnel, and that's right. It's 100% factual that Georgia has better personnel on their defense than Oklahoma does.
Well, I mean, OU doesn't have a Roquan Smith, and they don't have the Clark guy in the middle. Like, Georgia, the whole thing about their defense is they didn't have great edge rushers. All their pressure was coming from right up the middle.
Yep.
Like, Samia could not handle 52. Tyler Clark, is that his name?
Samia had a night that is probably about as forgettable because his effort on the field goal on the blocked kick
awful.
was shit. I mean, it was terrible.
He had a horrible game.
Should have got kicked out in the second half. He would have been in there.
Yeah, but I'll tell you though, go back and watch that tape and watch Clark when he would shift over on top of Ben Powers. You didn't hear him. You didn't see him at all. He just vanished. And that's why Georgia figured it out in the second half, and they just kept sticking him over the top of Drew.
Which I couldn't believe they didn't bring in Cody Ford at some point.
We all love beating. I mean, and rightfully, Bill, what he's done is unbelievable. I don't understand the Drew Samia fast. I thought he was very mediocre all year. I don't remember a game of his where I was like, man, he was really good today. I thought he was a clear weak link all season.
I'll say that. I mean, look, I think Lincoln is a brilliant person, brilliant guy, brilliant coach. There's got to be something that's going to happen here that we're just going to go, oh, like that's why. I mean, he was talking yesterday about, Sooner fans are going to be really happy, soon. And I don't know if that's just Benito, if that's Benito and Buki, which I guess we need to talk about Buki versus Bookie.
Probably.
This is one of those things that drives Josh mad.
About the last pod.
Did we?
I think we got to it. I think so.
I don't know.
I remember having I don't know who else would care, and I definitely had a conversation about it. So,
but I mean, is it
go ahead.
something beyond that?
I will say this though. I think that all these Oklahoma fans are looking at the season and thinking it's just a complete colossal failure when it really isn't. I mean, they did win a third straight Big 12 championship, which I think a lot of people, the real diehards, would say, "Oh, well, it doesn't mean shit. They won a bad conference." When I mean, it's hard to do. That is hard to accomplish.
Bad conference looked pretty good in bowl games.
Yeah, they did. But
Except
at the same
West
time,
Virginia that didn't have a quarterback.
right? And Texas Tech, who just probably shouldn't even been in a bowl game. I mean, they beat a terrible Texas team to
Shimonek
get.
could throw the ball more than 30 yards downfield, they might have had a chance.
Hey, if Texas Tech isn't the shining example of what we're talking about, Texas Tech played decent defense this year.
They did.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it can't be done.
They had
That's
a goal
bull.
line stand against South Florida in that game.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, South Florida's not Georgia. I get it. Texas Tech doesn't have OU's personnel even right now. Forget about we're trying to get better.
So you're saying that proves that Mike needs to bow out.
I want people to understand, and I know, we all hear about stuff when we say things like this. I don't think it's that Mike can't coach. I don't good coaches don't just become stupid. Mike's been a good coach for a long time. At some point, for whatever reason, even if I don't know exactly what it is, it's not working. You can argue whatever you want. It's not working. And you can say, oh, we can't get the personnel. Well, maybe there's a reason the personnel doesn't want to come. You're not producing NFL guys. You're not doing that. You're not running a defense that is spotlighting guys.
You're doing so horribly that it's given other staff so much ammo to use against you that it's making it almost impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point you do have to ask yourself, would it be better just to start over, and would that be more of an advantage than what we're facing right now? Because I'll say this, of all the things I took from yesterday, talking to multiple people, if OU doesn't recruit better players defensively, everybody's gone. I mean, that's all there is to it. That's what Lincoln Riley is hanging. You heard him say it, that they've got to recruit better. If they don't start bringing in defensive linemen and linebackers that are closer to what people like Georgia have, then everybody's gone.
Then how can you go into next season with the same linebacker coach?
I don't think they should.
We literally are laughing about the idea that they could have more coaches than linebackers when, I mean, it's a God honest truth. Even if they were to get Deshaun White, even if they were to get Nick Benito on Thursday night at the Under Armour game, how can you put the same guys back out there knowing that they can't recruit? They are forever the bridesmaid in the recruitment process.
I go back to just like Jacob Phillips. Dude, you had a chance to play for a national title.
Yeah.
And you chose LSU.
Well, I mean,
where they fired their coach.
Yeah. And they
It's like what I'm saying is it's an indictment on
OU needs to start playing kids.
On OU and there was that rumor running around, but it is tough because you have to say, why aren't you better recruiters when you know that there are some shady stuff going on out there?
Right.
Sure.
So there's part of you that's just like, kudos to OU for not being a bunch of people, rolling around the dirt with the rest of them. But at the same time, it's killing your defense.
Well, guys, are they having trouble recruiting high-level guys on offense?
No, not at all.
It's not like the rules are different in recruiting from offense. Now, that gets into the Big 12, blah blah blah, and that's fine, but that's not the end-all be-all. Don't tell me it is. Like you guys know, because we got into this in midseason. Like, I understand that in the Big 12, you're not going to be a defense that holds teams to 20 points per game over the course of a season. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic. I understand all of that. But to say, 450 yards, that's pretty good in this conference. No, it's not. It's not good anywhere. Don't tell me that it is. I don't believe it. I can't buy into that. And I certainly understand that you've got to have an offense that can help you. You can't keep going out on the field every 35 seconds because your offense just keeps ringing the bell. But at the same time, Oklahoma's had some good ground games the last 2 years, and their defense still hasn't been able to stay off the field.
All right, I don't want to do an entire hour on Mike Stoops. I mean, I think all of us.
We should do a whole day on
all of us say, and I think we all stand behind the fact that yes, it has to be better. I'll just say Lincoln has to make this decision. It's up to him. It's his. I can't change his mind. If you want to go out there and bitch about it on social media, he said it in there. Like, I don't have to listen to it. I'm not going to listen. And he's not a guy that you talk about Bob Stoops having a bunker mentality. Lincoln has a little bit of a bunker mentality. And that's what I said. It comes down to believe in what you do and don't let other people lead you astray or make you question yourself. And that's what he's doing with Mike Stoops. Now, I'm also that guy that says when the bitching and moaning gets to a certain point, the fans aren't wrong. And the fans aren't wrong to say that if Lincoln Riley got rid of Mike Stoops, he would totally be justified if he did it.
It's interesting, too. This is the first time that Lincoln's ever had to be in this position as a head coach. Like, he obviously wasn't going to make changes in June last year, so this is the first time that he's out making decisions about the program for himself, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think this summer is all about him putting his, touch or stamp onto the program, because he basically was the manager for Bob's program this past year.
Well, and I think it comes down to, it just comes down to what Lincoln feels about how this is going to affect recruiting. And doing it now, I think he feels like it would do too much damage to the recruiting class. I mean, it's going to do damage if you do it eventually.
So am I reading into this? You think there's a better chance they wait until after February to make any kind of staff move?
Oh, you won't. There's no way anything's happening before signing day. No way.
Right.
Now, could a coach take a job somewhere else?
That's a different situation.
Story. Yeah. Okay, so Orlando Brown announces yesterday he's going to leave early for the NFL. We're still waiting on Mark Andrews to make any kind of decision. I know one guy that I didn't even want to really put any credence to it because people would ask me about it a lot. And I just thought, not that it was a dumb question, it just struck me as, why would you even be thinking about that? Which is Rodney Anderson. And Lincoln was asked about that yesterday.
Rodney's not among the players considering going to the NFL.
I don't think so. I haven't had a conversation with him yet. I think I don't want to speak for him, but I don't believe so. No.
And a guy that's missed 2 full seasons almost, that's had really 7 games on his schedule. He's a really impressive running back. I mean, he's way better than I thought he could be.
The worst part about the ending of the Rose Bowl was probably the fact that his first half and middle third quarter was overshadowed by the loss. He was incredible in the first half.
He's special. I mean, I never thought I would say that about him.
No, that was Josh, and you probably saw him as more than anybody else down in Houston. That was the Rodney Anderson that was the high 4-star, everybody in the country wanted type running back.
Yeah, as a guy that I saw a couple of times, both as a junior and a senior, this I mean, that's the guy that was there in high school. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't think it would translate as well as it has. We've talked about that in the pod for a couple of months now. He's just been unbelievable. But it was funny listening to a bunch of Georgia fans that were like, holy crap, who is that guy? Like, there was a real – if there was any player that completely won Georgia's respect after the game, it was Rodney Anderson. The way he ran, that, and I think for me, the play that sums up how good he was, that dude stiff-armed Roquan Smith and then ran away from him. Like, that doesn't happen. I mean, anybody that's watched, Roquan Smith is special, and Rodney physically handled him a little bit. It was like I said, I'm with Lincoln Riley and thinking that, and with you guys, and thinking that it would make more sense for him to come back. But boy, if you were going to talk about a game that was a launching point to say, it's going to be hard for my star to get much higher than it is right now, you could make the case that he was that good in the Rose Bowl.
I don't know. I could be completely way off base, and I would be the last person that somebody would want to come and get advice to about something like this. But a guy that has already had the type of injuries that he's had, I would almost take my chances in the NFL, because if you get hurt again, your career might be over, and you might as well do it on the biggest stage possible.
I think you almost, though, you're going to have a year
of showing everybody you can stay healthy
before you even get drafted.
Yeah, because I mean he barely played in the Ohio State game.
Yeah,
like the last
he
7-8 games,
string tailback in that game. And
there was
remember
Kansas State game. I remember direct messaging our group saying, giving carries to Rodney Anderson is a waste of a carry.
Well, remember in that Ohio State game, and I think the only reason he played, because you pointed this out during pregame, but like Marcelius Sutton came down on the field with like a big thing on his thumb.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't even grip a football.
Right. He had a cast, like a soft cast.
So, I mean, that opened the door for him to go from fourth team to third team in that game.
He took advantage of it.
And the only reason that happened is because Abdul Adams fumbled.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but he had a sensation. I mean, I was so wrong about him. I just thought he was too stiff and, not really a guy with good vision. I just thought he was a guy that was kind of like a really muscled up Kewan Jones, to be honest with you.
Well, and I mean, Orlando, everybody knew that was going to happen. That was a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I think Mark Andrews is probably a no-brainer.
Oh,
it's just a matter of when. Yeah. Bobby Evans probably comes back, I would think. I don't know if he's given thought to coming back. I mean,
I wouldn't even think that he'd thought
Well,
about
he
leaving.
tweeted something about, here it is. Thankful I get to call these guys my brothers. It's a picture of him, all the guys before the game. This group has pushed me. And then he mentions OB and Eric Wren, go secure that bag. Like, sounding very much like a dude he'll be back next year. They can go do their thing.
Yeah, he'll be a mainstay on that.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, because next year he gets to be the Orlando.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really see him.
Everyone's going to understand that he's special.
He just, I've never really got the impression talking to him that he is like overly ambitious that way. Like he's just so humble and down to earth, and he still talks like a guy that just trying to impress his dad. I just don't get that kind of ambitious, I want to get to the league thing from him.
Oh, I was going to say, even if he had the kind of year that Orlando had this year, Outland finalist, first team All-American, all that stuff, it wouldn't shock me at all if he came back for a senior year. If he thought that was a national title kind of team.
And he's a guy, if they wanted to, they could move him to left tackle. I mean, he could play left tackle. I mean, Bill's played him there. Sure. He feels like Adrian Ely, who isn't ready for that yet. Which, I mean, that's...
Did you say if he does, or did you say he thinks he is?
If he doesn't think that Adrian Ely is ready to be a starting left tackle, he could put him at right. And I don't even know if he could
I was
play
making
there.
sure I hadn't missed something really good there.
No. I don't even know if he's tried to play him at right. For all I know, my understanding is he's strictly played left tackle in practices up to this point. And then, I mean, it's going to be intriguing seeing Creed Humphrey as a center. I mean, that will be OU's biggest, most powerful center that they've ever had, in the Stoops era at least.
I don't want to say he's transformed his body, but we'll be running an interview probably later this week.
Yeah,
that we talked to Creed at Media Day on.
He brought up him being my son thing.
Yeah, he negated it. He confirmed that he has real parents.
He does know who his parents are.
He is,
and I told him that I'm pretty sure I never gave away a child.
He is humongous though.
There's no way I could have produced that. I mean, he's a monster.
He is humongous. Like, he is. I thought he was big in high school. I feel like he almost has maybe gotten a little bit taller.
Did he, like, live on a farm and got, like, they used to bathe in growth hormones for the cows or something?
I don't know. If they do, though, maybe they should start doing that more with their offensive linemen down there.
Become like a Nebraska type of thing, but only in Oklahoma.
That's what OU needs, a good steroid. Well, I guess they had a Monty Bledsoe, so.
Oh, my God. He likes to sue, Eddie. I would not say that.
Oh, it was a joke.
Might have to cut that out of the podcast.
It was a joke. I think our lawyers would take care of that.
I don't even know who that would be, but moving on.
The imaginary Scoop legal team.
I went out and hired a couple. I'll tell you guys about them.
Okay, so Josh, you have been going back and forth the U.S. Army. Brendan Radley Hiles, the guy I think most Sooners are looking forward to his announcement. Now, this all happens Saturday morning, is that right? Saturday, like 10, 11, something like that?
Noon will be kickoff on NBC.
Okay.
So everybody can watch it there. He is the last one of the game. I think it's into the third quarter is what it's currently scheduled for. So I actually talked to him. We'll have the interview coming. He was very non-committal. I will say he's a fantastic interview. Guy was really good to talk to. I thought he would be a little cagier than he was. But he's one of those guys that's very eloquent and says a lot and doesn't say much. So he was real cool about it. But I talked to him a little bit about TJ Pledger, and I thought that was kind of interesting. What was more telling about Brendan Radley Hiles, what I was getting from the guys who were already committed, including TJ Pledger. I asked TJ Pledger, I was like, so, because he's another early enrollment guy, and I asked him, well, who's going to be your roommate when you get there? And he goes, I don't know. We'll see after this weekend. And I was like, okay. Now, obviously, he could spin that to say, well, I just mean, if Brendan doesn't come here, then I'm going to have to find somebody else. But if Brendan's coming, then he's going to be my roommate. But that's not the vibe I got from the quote. I thought he was tipping his hat a little bit. And I'd also asked Ronnie Perkins early in the week what he thought. And as soon as I said Brendan's name, he just kind of cracked this little smile, and then it kind of went away as quickly as it came. So I think OU knows they're in a pretty good spot here. Now, it was interesting because Woody Womack did a bunch of interviews with guys, and he was asking them where they thought Brendan was going to go, and there was some Florida State in there as well. I think they made a run at him, but it's just tough for me to believe that he's going to go to Florida State with all that's happening there. I don't even think they've hired the defensive coordinator yet, so he still wouldn't even know who that's going to be.
Because they're waiting on Mike Stoops.
I would just think there's a lot of questions, and I know he really likes Lincoln Riley.
Anything else of note there? I mean, you mentioned Pledger. I don't know if you got a chance to see him at all in practices or anything, but anything that's really stood out to you? You talked about Ronnie Perkins and Ron Tatum.
Yeah, we won't go over those guys again. I thought, like I said, both were good. Tatum was a little bit more up and down, while I thought Perkins was very steady. The guy who surprised me was Darrell Simpson. He's been pretty good. He really has had some nice reps. And, guys, and Eddie talked about it a few weeks ago during when he ran into him on the sidelines one of the games. Even amongst these huge human beings, all these great high school players, those two stick out. They are large.
Bray Walker and Darrell Simpson,
yes. Bray and Darrell are just humongous human beings. And what's interesting is I would clearly have Bray as a left tackle and clearly have Darrell as a right, but they've been working opposite of that all week, and it's looking pretty good. I mean, I think if I was going to guess based on what I saw Tuesday, Darrell Simpson will be your starting left tackle, and Bray Walker will be your starting right tackle for the West. So that'll be something to watch, obviously. TJ Pledger hasn't gone a lot just because of he's had an ankle injury since late in the year. When I talked to him, he gave me the impression he expects to play in the game. And I know he's practiced some this week, but I think they've been limiting him just to make sure that he is okay to go in the game. So I think that's obviously something to watch. Guys like Solomon Tuliapapupu, God, whatever. Crazy.
Solid.
Crazy Pauly guy from California.
Call him Sal.
He is injured, and I believe didn't get in until yesterday, so I don't expect him to play at all. Isaac Taylor Stewart, the corner, just talking to people. I mean, OU may get a visit in January. I'd be very surprised if he goes anywhere other than USC. And finally, I guess Leon O'Neal would be the other guy. kind of the same deal. He really talked glowingly. I know Eddie's already run the interview. I got to get it up on the site. He talked a lot about Oklahoma, and he really likes OU, loved his official visit he took there during the season. I just think he's going to A&M. Just from people I talk to and the things he says, I just feel like he's having some fun with this process, but he's going to end up at A&M with Jimbo Fisher.
I thought
I don't get it.
I thought the end part about O'Neal, though, and it kind of goes back to what Carey was talking about, Josh, just he kind of laid it out there as far as the stigma that comes with the Big 12, and you kind of brought it up. Well, you have more opportunities to make plays on the ball, and I thought that was really interesting. I thought that was some of the insight that maybe we've been looking for a while, and I thought he kind of laid it out there pretty honestly.
And did so without me really taking him there, Eddie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he was very, like, we were talking, and I'm trying to remember the context of all of it. It was 4 or 5 days ago now, but we were going through it, and he just kind of dove into that part of it. And I was like, man, that's a great quote. That's really interesting. But, I mean, Eddie, you listen to him. Leon's a fantastic guy to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
He's a very good interview, very, very open and very talkative. And we're talking after the interview, and, he wants to take our job. So just be prepared for that, gentlemen. But, so, yeah, no, he's, like I said, Leon was interesting. He's a North Houston guy. A&M's right up the road. And he was a long-time commitment there. There's a lot he likes about A&M. And I just think that's where he ends up. I think that'll stick together. The final guy, we mentioned him early about something else, but Deshaun White, linebacker, that really is OU's primary linebacker, I guess pursuit, you'd say right now. I haven't had a chance to watch him a lot. My focus is really on Radley Hiles early on the day that I was there for practice. With White, I continue. He said it in the interview, and I've actually got it up on the site now. We just put it up right as the podcast was starting. He's waiting for A&M to announce who their defensive coordinator is going to be. Clearly,
they literally just hired one.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah. TexAg's reporting Notre Dame's Mike Elko will be Texas A&M's new defense coordinator.
That's a really good hire. Elko's good. He did wonders with Notre Dame this year. But, so now we'll have to see what Deshaun White's response is. I'll try to talk to him on Saturday when I'm there for the game and see what he thinks about Mike Elko. But
if Mike Stoops goes to Notre Dame now.
The pieces all fall in place.
He can stay at one of Bob's mini condos.
He has 2 houses in Chicago. That's why he's been holding on to the other one.
Because
he's going to sell it to Mike.
Yeah, I love it. You can connect it so far back as to Bob knew this was going to happen.
Bob knew that
second condo 2 years ago.
Mike Elko was going to take the job in January of 2018.
Well, guys,
that's why Bob has his pulse. And that would make sense because Bob's going to be the head coach at the Chicago Bears.
Did it come out how much Aranda is getting?
I think
for
like
staying
$2.5 million.
Yeah, so I imagine
$2.5 million
paying $2 million to their defensive coordinator.
I loved it. Somebody said he's getting $2.5 million to stay around, and they're paying a defense coordinator to stay around $2.5 million that couldn't stop. Who did they play in the bowl game?
Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame. A backup quarterback.
Yeah.
They played.
I think Aranda's really good, but that's just stupid money. And it's so bad by the universities because there's all this about paying players, and then you're going to turn around and pay your DCs $2 million.
But you almost have to nowadays. I mean, do you think that OU, if they were going to attract a great defensive coordinator, they're going to have to get involved in that too?
Yeah.
Oh,
they just are.
At a place like OU, your coordinators are going to be making $1 million. Like that's
no, they
where
need
that
to be
is.
making $2 million. Is what I'm saying. They're going to have to get, if they really want to get the best of the best. By the way, is John Chavis just out of a job, or did he take?
He's going to Arkansas, is what it sounds like.
Oh,
I don't think it's officially been announced.
I mean, he was kind of the guy that started this.
And Texas A&M couldn't stop anybody this year.
No, they were terrible.
And they've recruited well.
Kind of goes to show you.
Well, guys, and as much as I love Aranda, and I really do, I think he's really good. They were like, it's LSU playing in the SEC West, and they were like 54th in the country in defense.
Yeah.
Where was it? Let's see. LSU. No, maybe I'm wrong. Well, somebody had said that. Okay, hang on. They were 12th. They were 12th. I apparently got my numbers wrong, so
it could have been one of those
Aranda.
defensive efficiency ratings or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I went and looked at total defense, but I haven't looked at the efficiency ratings. But yeah, to me, they can pay Aranda that because they're paying almost nothing compared to major college head coaches. And when this ship sinks, like we all know it's gonna, Dave Aranda, they're going to be right there to swoop him up, and he'll be their guy.
What, to replace Orgeron?
Yep, and I bet you money that's what Aranda's thinking. Like, there's no way Aranda's like, you know what? If I'm going to be under a head coach, I'd rather be under O than Jimbo Fisher. No way in hell. No way he's thinking that.
But you guys know there's somebody out there preparing to play checkers when everybody else is playing chess with his 10th assistant. Like, Nick Saban is going to become the first person to have, a backup head coach / defensive coordinator / offensive coordinator.
Look at what Ohio State's doing. I mean,
the Grimes guy.
Got Alex Grinch, who is supposed to be one of the up-and-coming defensive coordinators, to take the 10th position. And I think a lot of that has to do with,
for like $650,000.
They've told they've told Grinch that, Greg Schiano, if he ever leaves, you're our guy to be the defense coordinator. I think he has some ties back to Ohio, into the Columbus area. Did he coach at Ohio State before, Josh? Do you know?
Who's this, Grinch?
Yes.
No, I don't think so. And to be fair, that whole thing has been rumored. I don't think it's actually happened.
Well, you can't announce it yet, can you?
No, not till the 12th or whatever.
Oh, okay. I had it in my head it was on New Year's. That's when the day
they moved it back.
I think it's January 10th.
Is it 10th?
Okay. To my knowledge, let's see. Now, he went to Mount Union.
Okay. That's probably
so there is definitely, there's a connection there.
But somebody's going to hire a 10th assistant, and they're going to pay him like $2 million. They're going to steal somebody's defensive coordinator.
No, yeah, they are. It's going to happen.
Well, because everybody keeps talking, like they say 10th assistant, like, well, he has to be the low man on the totem pole. No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
You can shift other guys around. Like, it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, I actually asked Lincoln if he would consider hiring someone that would be a co-coordinator with Mike yesterday. And his answer was, well, that's kind of Carey Cook's job. So it doesn't sound like that's the direction that he'll go. That was kind of the only hint he gave us. And he also told us that not to expect an announcement on the 10th. Because he said he's not in a rush to make
He's just going to start coaching in the spring.
Do you think they would just run back to Viney?
That'd be a good hire. I mean, if you're going to go cheap.
It's not bad at all. I don't mean to make it sound like it wouldn't be.
If you're going to go cheap, that's the way to go.
And he's a tremendous. You want to talk about a dude that can connect with the kids? Viney is that guy.
Brian Walters is a defensive coordinator now.
In the SEC.
Where is it, Vandy?
No, he's at Missouri.
Oh, at Missouri, that's right. He was here for like 2 minutes.
Joe John Finley was a coordinator for a minute, but that didn't go the way they wanted it to.
That Missouri staff is just like a who's who of Oklahoma coaches.
By the way, more legitimate national championship, the OSU 1945 or the UCF?
I hate the UCF thing, but I respect it. I think it's funny.
Just respect the trolling?
Yeah, they are literally going to pay their coaches their bonus salaries.
Yes.
That's insane.
Coaches that aren't even there.
They're leaving. Like, what horrible management.
Yeah, like, if you're the board of trustees at UCF, like, how do you feel about that choice?
If you told me I'm going to work for ESPN tomorrow.
I don't think ESPN hired me, considering the things I've said to people that work for them.
JoJo would block you. I would not give you a raise for the last month and then give you a leaving bonus.
Oh, and by the way, that's insane. I hate it, but I kind of respect it. So Central Florida, I guess keep doing you, but don't think that you're a big boy. You still have to sit at the children's table.
I gave, speaking of you keep doing you, I gave our Enterprise bus driver, because like at LAX, you go to the rental car place and you get on the bus and you go back. And our bus driver was like one of the biggest characters I've ever seen. He was talking to us about playing semi-pro football when we got on. He was a really good dude. But the show was really up in the front of the bus where he was playing like modern gospel.
He was giving his testimony.
He was giving his testimony to people that were sitting in there. Every time he'd get the bags off, he would.
What did he say?
Would just like, you have a God blessed day, and don't forget, such and such
God loves
is
you.
your maker, and and keep believing in the Word of God or something like. So he was just doing it, man. I mean, just a large black man, not like heavy or over, just big.
Oh, he definitely played football.
Yeah, he played. I think
that.
he said he told us where.
Compton College and then
Compton
somewhere
College,
else.
Yeah, and so he cheered me up so much. I gave him the biggest tip I've ever given anybody. I gave him a 20, and I said, just keep doing you. And I gave him $20. That dude made my day.
I gave him $2.
We had a lot of bags too. We added bags. We bought a tripod. We went to a camera store, like the biggest camera store in LA. That it had an elevator.
I was actually surprised
levels.
that we were able to get everything back. To be honest, we had so much stuff.
It was ridiculous. Eddie said that he took every piece of clothing that he owned.
Just
we
about.
were there for so long. So you had to just wash everything once you got home.
I'm in the middle of a laundry display of 2018.
Do you dry everything all the way through, or do you hang dry?
Both. It just depends. Like shirts that
How much
I
it
feel
shrinks.
I feel like some shirts will shrink. So
Your moisture wicking stuff, you don't really have to dry.
yeah, no.
You're not supposed to.
But then I just do take like a car full of stuff to the laundromat and just here. You do it. I'll pay you to do it.
So you do that. You don't do it on your own. You don't have a you have a washing machine at your house.
Yeah. I'll take like my dress shirts and collared shirts and stuff.
Well, like I had this discussion with Josh the other day, and it opened my eyes to parents because you were talking about how many poop jumpers you've had to wash. Like, my God, you people go through washing machines that have babies and stuff, I bet. I mean, you're just literally putting feces in your washing machine daily.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me, like, you've got to do your best to, like, rinse out anything substantial. But, I mean, you're sticking, I mean, that stain didn't come from her mouth. Like, we know where that came from, and it's foul. So
like, will you have clothes that have poop on them sometimes?
No, not that I mean,
like it won't
maybe somebody's walked past. Like there might be a picture of floating around the internet somewhere that I'm unaware of. Like,
no, but like it doesn't transfer.
Has shit on his.
Yeah,
on his
I mean,
shirt.
like poop does not stay in the washing machine and then transfer itself to other clothing.
No, not that I've ever noticed.
Okay.
No, I mean, and usually like stuff like that, and obviously you've got all your different cycles. We've got one in ours that's like deep clean, sanitize, and so
oh my God.
that is like that's for poop blankets or clothes. Like, and you put them all in there at once. You don't let them be in there with anything else. And
plus, you have a lot of puke clothing because you got to, I'm sure Lainey pukes on stuff a lot.
Lainey is not the puppy dog that some kids are. She vomited very few times. Now, usually when she'll choose to puke, she chooses to puke on Dad, so that's really great. But I would say since she's probably been 2, I bet she's thrown up 2 or 3 times, like very little.
Interesting. Here's my question as we're wrapping things up. Will you guys be able to watch the national championship between Alabama and Georgia?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, sure.
No problems at all?
No problems at all.
I did ask Lincoln Riley if he'd be able to watch the game, and here's what he said.
Do you think that you'll be able to watch the national championship, or will it be tough for you?
It'll be tough. Yeah, it'll be tough. I don't know. I don't know if I will. I'll watch it at some point because, it'll be a good game to watch and continue to learn from. But
I would assume if Georgia wins easily, that'll be the hardest thing.
Yeah, it'll be hard either way because I felt good about our matchup against Georgia, and I would have felt good about our matchup the next one too. I mean, no doubt. So it'll be hard. I don't know if I'll watch it live or not. I don't know.
And that's going to be, to me, like the most gut-wrenching thing. Like if Georgia just wins that game easily, it's going to just start a whole new rage night for OU fans.
I think.
Don't you think?
I think they'll be raging either way.
It's going to be hard for OU fans to watch it. It's going to be hard for America to watch it just because it's 2 SEC teams.
That's the worst part. I think that's the worst part about this whole thing.
Do you think that the Rose Bowl will get better ratings than the national championship?
Yes.
Because it's
I think
the
its
third
high
highest.
point will be better than any of the national championships high ones.
That was the third highest rated college playoff ever. There were only like 2 championships that were rated higher.
Yes.
Than the OU Georgia game.
I think that it will be, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that it was just on New Year's Day at 2:00 or 4:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, but it was a good game, and I'm sure a lot of people came back to it after halftime. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people tuned out, at halftime when it was 31-17.
Besides Gabe Eichert's teammate in New Orleans that asked him what day OU was getting out to Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Because he turned it off at halftime.
Yeah, he thought OU could.
Oh, no.
There was one other thing I wanted to play for you, and that was kind of Lincoln Riley's thoughts after watching it back. He was asked, do you have a lot of regrets about things that happened in the game?
Not regret. There's just things you wish you could do better. I'm a big believer when you give something everything that you've got, you regret is the wrong thing to have, or feeling sorry or not that you won't be disappointed, but you've got to be ready to get back on the horse and go at it again. And there's definitely some. I mean, there's some that where I could have made a better call. There's some that we didn't execute plays. There was we had some of the mistakes were because Georgia's pretty good and they were going to make some plays too. Some of the mistakes were self-inflicted and we could have done better. So that's I've never, like I said it after the game, I've never had one where I don't come back and I'm just angry at myself for a couple of the calls. I mean, whatever our best offensive game was this year, maybe, I don't know, West Virginia, or I don't know, there were some pretty good ones. But, I mean, there's even after those, you come back some of those, you're like, I could have been better here. So it obviously gets more attention when it's in a game of this magnitude and when you don't come out on the right end.
I also think, it was. I think Eddie probably will say this was weird because the day we were leaving that next morning, I just got tired of seeing, the first hot takes on the game and stuff. So I changed the channel, and as we were packing, we were watching whatever the Trisha Yearwood Food Network program is on a
She was
marathon.
just whipping up just some bomb food for like 2 hours.
And then I'm sitting there, and Eddie goes, "Man, everything she's made so far looks awesome." I think Eddie might secretly be setting his DVR to record Trisha Yearwood's
Garth's eating well. I know that.
Hometown Cookdown or whatever it's called.
Garth's eating good.
As long as you're not recording the Pioneer Woman. She's a bitch.
Is she?
No, I don't know.
I think
Tiffany loves her.
Pioneer Woman.
No, she doesn't. Please tell me
Tiffany
no.
loves. No, you guys have to understand, she is from almost the same area Tiffany's from.
Tiffany's
so
a
they've got the whole
girl?
background.
Tiffany's a Bartlesville type girl?
Ponca, I thought.
Oh,
Ponca.
Ponca. Okay.
Ponca City. It's a really weird thing in my family. My sister, my whole family is from Oklahoma City. My sister married a guy from Ponca City High. I married Tiffany from Ponca City High. My aunt married a guy from Ponca City High. There's some weird connection with our family. And none of them, none of them met via the other. They were all separate meetings at all these different scenarios and places. So it's really weird, the McQuistians in Ponca City.
McQuistians are married to Ponca City.
There's a special relationship going way back to my one and only trip ever to Ponca City.
I think
because you've never needed to see a football player there.
Rashawn Parker, I can tell you the two. Rashawn Parker and Josh, what was his last name? Josh Johnson. Both went to Iowa State. Rashawn Parker had a pretty good career. Josh Johnson was a thug and got kicked out.
It's Ponca City for you, man.
So 0-for-2.
Yep.
No, 1 for
1-for-2.
Rashawn Parker finished out. He was a really good kid. He was one of those guys you kind of like to see succeed.
I think, I was just going to say, on Riley, on that little part, I don't think that there is any doubt that he can say as much as he wants. He's not going to think about it. But I think the 3rd and 2 call on the wheel route and then not going for it on 4th and 1, it will take a couple months to get over those decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I think once you get past it, and that's the difficult part about it is because you feel it, but you don't really know how to express it sometimes. But you could feel And that's what Lincoln gets paid for, is to be able to kind of be able to take what he feels and put it out there. But, like, there's no doubt about it. I haven't watched it back yet, but just thinking it over, like, there was no way that Georgia didn't have a massive advantage in overtime once it went to overtime, because their defense was just better from halftime on. OU's offense, no, it didn't have it anymore.
But even after after OU held Georgia in the first overtime, it's like, you have a chance to win the game.
Yeah,
you have been given a gift. And then you were given another gift in the second overtime on the offsides. You have to score a touchdown there. So I think that 4th and 1, and even going back to the end of the fourth quarter with the 3rd and 2, why didn't they call a timeout and go to that jumbo package that they had used so many times?
The diamond that they were using?
Like I think I could have lived with them running it on 3rd and 2 and not getting it over the wheel route, but at the same time, for all these people that said, why did they take the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands, he was the one that overthrew Rodney Anderson.
Yeah.
So that's a really tough throw in that situation. That's a lot to ask.
That's why I think I would have been more comfortable with the jumbo package.
Yep.
But you have Mark Andrews on 3rd and 2. I mean, you have so many other things.
Right.
To me, that was the thing
Dimitri
OU was the slowest to cope with, was Georgia made a point. Mark Andrews, you do not have him on 3rd down. We're going to take him away from you. And I thought that was Georgia's whole focus on anything where it wasn't clear that OU could run for the first down on 3rd down. If it was 3rd and more than 3, they were going to deal with Mark Andrews and let somebody else beat them.
Well, and just not to give it to Rodney Anderson, just straight up the middle and say, here, Rodney.
On 1st and 2nd down, wasn't it Rodney Anderson 4 yards? Rodney Anderson 4 yards.
I have to go back.
And then
look at the play.
That got him to 3rd and 2, and then they go the wheel route, and then all of a sudden they're punting the ball back with 3 minutes left.
Well, the 3rd and 2
Georgia
was that not
has a chance to win the game.
Was the Jordan Smallwood? Was that in the second overtime?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was another terrible call. I say it's terrible. If it works out, it's genius.
It worked twice when they used it this year for touchdowns.
Right.
It's just it didn't work against Georgia.
Not against the fastest defense they've played.
Yeah.
And
it worked against Ohio State.
The getting to something that we wanted all year, putting Kyler Murray out there with Baker. They finally do it, and in hindsight, it's like, oh, that was dumbass.
It was wasted.
That was not
down.
A good decision.
Yeah.
On 1st down in the overtime.
Eddie, I found it. 1st and 10, Baker Mayfield incomplete pass to Marquise Brown, and then 8-yard rush for Rodney Anderson, and then they threw the wheel route to Rodney and missed 29 seconds left.
Well, I mean, it's all, I guess.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over. There's nothing you can do about it. It was a hell of a run. It was a good season. And it will be interesting. I mean, there's a lot moving forward. There's a lot of question marks moving forward. They finally have a quarterback battle going into the spring for the first time in a couple years.
Well, what seems to be... I'll tell you who's going to make it a battle is Kyler Murray, because he has expressed interest to play baseball again.
Oh, he is playing baseball.
Yeah. He's going to play baseball again. And Lincoln Riley was actually asked about that yesterday. I'll play it for you.
We're having some conversations. I think that's the plan right now. We had some conversations after the fact last year. I think some things that we can do better, and honestly, I think it's a little bit different this year. In that when you're competing for the starting job, it's a little bit different. And so Skip and I've got a good relationship. We'll continue to have some conversations, and if that's the route that we go, build a good schedule. And I thought we did good with it last year, but I think we can be even better as far as just maximizing, his use.
Let me break that down.
Yeah, you want to translate?
Translator. If you're hitting fucking 124, you're not playing baseball again.
God. We get one podcast without the F-bomb, but then we got to get Kyler Murray's baseball career, and they just go flying.
That's basically what he's saying. If you plan on hitting 124 and being literally a pinch runner,
you're
not playing baseball.
Your biggest asset to the athletic program is being the starting quarterback.
And we're your scholarship. I mean, you don't have that scholarship through baseball.
But it's like Lincoln. It was pretty clear, what Lincoln was saying there, which was, hey, if you're really going to be the starting quarterback here, you don't need to be playing baseball full time and missing. Well, I would say You can play baseball. You're just not missing one damn practice of spring football.
Yep.
Like, that was cool last year when you were the backup. This year, it's not going to fly. I think that's probably what it comes down to.
That'd be my message. Like, you can do the baseball, but you don't miss anything here. Whether it's film, whether it's you're here for everything we do, and then any free time you have outside of that, you can do all the baseball you want.
All right, that's a good wrap up, boys. Eddie tried to bring some souvenirs home with him, but it was too expensive.
Yeah, I stole the media.
Wait a minute, you told me they gave it to you.
Well, everybody else was taking one, so I took it. The ESPN, big time ESPN guys were taking them, so I felt like I could be able to do that too.
He took the media hospitality sign. It had the Rose Bowl and college playoff. It was a cool sign.
It was a cool sign. We tried to mail it back, but it was like $80.
I would have loved to have it like sitting up top there.
I know. It's bad.
For $80, you should have sent it to me, Eddie. I'd have paid it. I'd have kept it, but I'd have paid it.
Yeah, I thought about paying it, but I didn't want to take it from him. Like, because if I pay $85 to have something shipped, I'm keeping it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a fact.
I might have given you like a $20 finder's fee.
Well, unless it's a giant Moana hook.
Oh God.
I think that has something to do with children.
No, Lainey. I'm not gonna get Lainey one of those.
Lainey's waiting. I told her it was coming, and Santa Carey didn't show up. She was pissed.
Does she like Moana?
She does. She especially that's one of her.
But now
bathtub toys.
it's the Maui hook, though, right?
Yeah, it's the Maui's hook. Yeah.
Eddie's
God, it's
glazing
sad
over
that I know
right now.
that.
Did you have anything? You teased something. Did we already talk about it?
The crap starting.
Yeah,
That was just the Lincoln talking about if his staff stays intact.
Well, it's going to be interesting.
Given the truth or something to cling to.
Guys, just I want to. What do you say? 1 in 10 is the odds that. God, I keep going to odds on this one. I don't know why that keeps happening, but that this staff, even aside from the 10, just the 9 guys, I would say 1 in 10 chance that there's no change from any of those 9.
Even Tim Kish.
That's what I'm saying. It's a 10% chance that the status quo is kept.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I think it's 90% odds that there is some change.
Well, there's going to be a 10th assistant hired.
Well, no, I just want even apart from that, even with if you throw that in, just the 9 that are right there right now, I think there's a 90% chance that something changes.
Look, I think this is a good course of action moving forward. I'm sorry, I'm not advocating the firing of Mike Stoops. I think I'm on your side. I think I've spent enough time on this podcast saying I am with you. I understand your pain. I understand that you want to change on defense. I get it. I know. I feel you. I'm not telling you that you're wrong in thinking that way. I'm just telling you what Lincoln Riley is saying, which is because of recruiting, they want to recruit better, see where it goes, because he believes that Mike is a good coach. But I would say this. If a change has to be made, bring in this 10th assistant, some youth, maybe even an extra defensive line guy. That would give you 3. I don't know how long Ruffin McNeil has in him to keep coaching, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'd
be lying if I
an older
didn't have the same thought.
You
watching
just see
people
him
walk
walking
off the
around.
field.
He's carrying around a towel all the time. He sweats profusely. But I would say get rid of Tim Kish, bring in a younger, dynamic recruiter, linebacker coach, bring in a dynamic, young recruiter as another defensive coach with your 10th. And if you really are committed to getting better in recruiting, I think that's the way to do it.
I completely agree.
If you're not going to fire Mike Stoops.
They have to find a way to, I guess, I don't know if it's communicate better, but because I think everybody enjoys Tim Kish. There hasn't been
He's a really good dude. I like him a lot.
Yeah, there hasn't been a linebacker, Josh, that has said, I just don't like the guy. They love the guy.
Everybody loves him.
If not for Tim Kish, I don't think Obo Okoronkwo would have ever made it at Oklahoma.
Right. He has done, there are good stories. He made Kenneth Murray play pretty well. The guy hasn't even been on campus for a year.
Never played middle linebacker before this year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You were talking about the Jacob thing earlier. Everybody forgets that was not where he was recruited to play. They played him there because they had to. He never played that position. He didn't know what he was doing. So people like
problem is when you're 14 games into the season or 13, you still don't know what you're doing. It's a problem.
Yes, and
whose
problem.
fault is that they had to do that?
Well, I mean, yeah, but the fault. The other thing is you're playing Emmanuel Beal, who yes, he was one of your most consistent players, but there's no way that Emmanuel Beal should be starting for Oklahoma when they're playing in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Like you should just have better. He's a fine player, but OU should be better than that.
Emmanuel Beal should be at Texas Tech.
Yes.
Like like he's a good player. There's nothing wrong with him. But if you're going to compete for championships, that guy can't play.
Like somebody like Kansas is stupid for not having a guy like that on their team.
Yes. Yeah. I just like.
He should not be at Oklahoma.
Like you can make arguments everywhere else across the board. At linebacker, recruiting is not good enough, and the production on the field is not good enough.
By the way,
I don't know how. What's the defense?
And here's another one. Will Johnson, you shouldn't have been at Oklahoma.
Nope.
You're a fine player. You could play in the Big 12, but you are not helping Oklahoma win a national championship. You are just. I hate to say this. I've never been this harsh on people. You are helping Oklahoma to be capable. That's all you're doing. You're not helping them to be dominant. Whereas every player on that Georgia team was helping them be dominant.
Yeah.
On defense.
I want to get this out there. I'm sure you guys didn't get to see the Alabama-Clemson game. Alabama beats Georgia by 2 touchdowns.
Really?
They are.
I think Alabama's really good. They're
because
healthy again.
Everything Georgia could do offensively with OU, they're not going to do to Alabama. They won't run like that at all.
No, they'll hold them to like 120 yards or something.
Yeah.
Total.
And now Alabama may win 21-7. It may not. I mean, Georgia's defense is good. Georgia's defense is Roquan Smith. You take him off that defense, it's a good, not great.
And he's
defense.
not infallible either.
No. In the first half, OU had him on skates. He was all over the place. But Alabama lost all 3 of their linebackers and was still pretty damn good defensively. Now they've got a bunch of those guys back, and
they're really good. Yeah.
Clemson had no answer. Clemson was just in deep shit that whole game.
All right, there you have it. Josh guarantees. Go to your bookie. Make your trip to Vegas.
Sell the house. Bet the money.
Mortgage your future.
Football's dead to me. It's basketball season.
Trae Young, Brady Manick. What a fantastic combination. I'm saying by the end of the year.
Best freshman class in OU history.
By the end of the year, I would like to see a starting lineup that doesn't have Kadeem Latin but does have Jimani McNeese. Because Trae Young and Jimani McNeese, like I said this before, they're magical together.
Yeah, they're really good. It's just amazing. I mean, we get done covering Baker Mayfield and move on to Trae Young. It's a golden era right now of.
I love what he said last night. You want to run this state.
Yeah, he's cocky.
Is there any way to get Doolittle and Manick on the floor at the same time?
They did a little bit last night.
They just need to get him back. He had a concussion. So
I love Christian Doolittle. I think that dude is freaky athletic.
Well, people forget. I mean, when he was in high school, like he committed, I think, as a sophomore, but he was a guy.
That sounds right.
He was a guy that just could do everything. I mean, he's very skilled. Like we've only seen him scratch the surface.
Yep.
And that's one way that this Oklahoma team. I mean, guys, I had this thought last night. This might be the second best OU basketball team in the history of Oklahoma, behind the '88 team.
It's crazy. It's not crazy that you're saying that. It's just crazy
because Blake Griffin didn't have players like this around him. It was the Blake Griffin show.
Yeah.
I mean,
Willie Warren showed up once every 3 weeks.
Yeah, Willie Warren was a huge bust.
The Buddy Hield Final Four team, they were really good, but
they had Isaiah Cousins and Kadeem Latin.
And you had Buddy, and you knew what Buddy was giving you every night. Trae Young's Trae Young's might be a better player than Buddy Hield right now. Just as far as
he is
being
he absolutely
a player.
Is.
Like
I think he 100% is.
Assist wise, I haven't seen an OU player in my lifetime that can distribute the ball like Trae Young.
No, I haven't either.
Guys, just look how much better Christian James is suddenly a truly offensive threat. I mean, he's a problem.
He's bounced back. He had a really bad year. I think he's playing to do the level of what they thought he was going to be.
Here's the thing. Okay, you take the 4 best teams. in modern Oklahoma basketball history. In 1988, you had Ricky Grace, Mookie Blaylock, Stacey King, I'm blanking, Dave Seeger. You take that team, you take Blake's team, you take Buddy's team. I wouldn't even include Kelvin's season with Hollis. Hollis would be a bench player on that 88 team. I think Buddy would be a bench player on that 88 team. Trae Young could be the starting point guard. He would replace Ricky Grace. And then you would have Mookie Blaylock as the 2. You'd have Stacey King. That team had Horace Grant, too, or Harvey Grant. Can't ever remember which one now. There's been so many Grants. Now there's Jeremy Grant and other Grant.
Definitely Harvey.
Blake Griffin would be your 4. So, I mean, you combine, like, to me, Trae Young and Blake Griffin are definite starters on that 88 team. I don't know that Buddy Hield is. Hollis Price definitely is not. I'd love to have Hollis Price or both those guys coming off my bench.
Cam Agussi's
think about Hollis just like setting up in the corner and firing threes.
Brady Manick and Dave Seeger could shoot. They could be shooting buddies.
I joked with Carey earlier, but I was talking with one of our buddies, John Shin, last night at the game. There's a good. I think you could make the argument Brady Manick could end his career as the all-time leading scorer at Oklahoma. He's going to start for 4 years.
I get so mad. I got mad this morning because someone compared Brady Manick to a Euro, and I wasn't having it. Brady Manick is from Harrah, Oklahoma. He is
a little bit, though, like the guy that you would see coming out of here.
I don't care. I don't want to hear that. To me,
he's a 6'9" guy that can shoot threes.
He is a Celtic from the late 70s, early 80s. That's who I want Brady. He's got the really horrible Larry Bird mustache going right now.
Oh, he is a perfect player to come out of Wisconsin.
Yes. But he could definitely fit right in with like Larry Bird and Dennis Johnson and Kevin McHale. Like he could be on that team.
He has a little bit of,
and he's got a post game that's still developing. But once that happens, my God, my God,
he's going to be really,
he
really
literally be a first team All-American by the time he's done.
What I'm about to say may be white on white crime. You guys can be the judges. Is there a possibility that he looks better than he is because he's playing next to Trae Young?
I mean, he was 5 of 7 from 3 last night.
No, he's 6
I
for
know,
8.
but he's getting great looks.
9 for 11 from the floor.
I mean, don't get me like I don't think he's like going to be a 4 point. I don't think he's suddenly going to become no shot at Tyler Neal here, but Tyler Neal. Like I don't think that's going to be where he goes. A fellow Patriot,
Man,
so I got nothing
Tyler,
but love
I'm
for
sorry.
Tyler. But I'm not
You went
saying
to the wrong
he's that
PC,
guy.
Tyler. We're sorry.
Yeah,
Josh is
like I said,
after
he's
you.
a Pat man. We can do the fight song together. That's fine. But like you look at the shots those guys are getting last night, and I'll be honest. That one, and I'm trying to remember early in the season, the one they lost, Arkansas. Those were the two I've really had a chance to watch. Like, all that's gone on in my life in the last month, not a lot of OU basketball time. But he was getting some great looks. I mean, like, those are shots you would expect if he's a good player he can knock down. I'm just wondering, is it going to look different when Trae's not there? Of course it will.
It'll be different for everybody. I mean, that team went 11 and 20 last year.
I'll say this, Josh.
Those two guys.
In a way, Kruger was asked that question after the game, if he's been surprised by Manick. I think it says something that he's a freshman from Harrah, that he can step into that role 13 games into the season, into his career, and knock down shots with consistency like that. So I think that there's a little bit of comfort there. And obviously, Trae has made everybody better. But, I mean, I thought if you would have asked me walking out of Deer Creek High School after I watched Harrah lose in the state semifinals last year, in the 4A semifinals, what Brady Manick's going to do this year, I probably would have said redshirted or played 5 minutes a game.
Well, yeah, and give our guy J.D. Reynolds a lot of credit. I mean, he worked with him religiously.
He transformed his body. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, he would have been the ugly duckling sitting on the bench, and everybody would have been saying, well, he just needs a year.
Yeah.
But he's come in, he worked hard, and he came in ready to bang with guys.
Oh, and he if there might not be anybody that capitalized more off Doolittle's suspension than the opportunity that was
Yeah.
presented to Manick, and then also just being able to come in a month early and practice for the New Zealand trip.
Yeah.
That helped him a lot. So, I mean, OU has a top 5 basketball team in the country. It's
McGusty,
incredible.
Christian James, can't forget about him. I mean, those guys have been fantastic from the perimeter. Manick has been outstanding. But you're right. I mean, if Trae Young is not there, everybody's not getting. I mean, last night, Oklahoma State's entire game plan was to double Trae Young every time he got the ball and get it out of his hands as quick as possible. So they were literally playing 4-on-3 last night.
And
the entire game.
You say that? He was a rebound short of the
a triple-double,
first
yeah.
points, assist, rebound, triple-double in OU basketball history. It's incredible.
That's crazy.
Wait, really?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to happen at some point this year. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of
God,
when.
you wonder if Kruger knew. Like, you almost want to leave him out there just to.
Oh
make
no,
a
there was.
history
We were
like that.
joking at the end of the game, and Trae is shooting a free throw. They were getting ready to sub everybody in. He looked over at Kruger, and you could tell that Trae was like,
"Can I stay in and get
Yeah,
it?"
don't take me out. And I told Nate Fakin from from Channel 4 in Oklahoma City, I said, he just needs to miss this and get his own rebound.
Yeah,
he needs to miss it on purpose and leave Chris Giles over at the check-in table so he can't come in. And I think he might have, and he still made it. So,
well, and that was the other thing about Bedlam last night is Oklahoma State's a pretty good team. I mean, they've got some really good parts.
They're not finishing 10th in the league. They're a lot
the
better.
Shine guy's good. I mean,
and that was without Lindy Waters too.
Yeah,
so.
Waters. Well, he's a walk-on.
No, he's a scholarship player. He's a starter.
Did he start as a walk-on?
No, he started as a freshman.
He's from Norman High, though, right?
So's Trae Young.
He's from Norman North.
They both went to Norman North.
Did they? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, but no, I mean, Oklahoma State, that's a decent team. I mean, they beat Florida State, who I think just beat North Carolina last night.
Oh, there's no doubt that.
And they were up by 20 the entire second. Like, it was an 8-point lead at halftime, came out, boom, immediately up by 20. And they just stayed there.
Yeah, it was.
I think they might have cut it to 14 at one point.
I think they opened the second half on a 16-7 run. So
they
by
just
9.
waxed them.
Yeah. The Big 12 is unique in that this year, outside of maybe when you get Iowa State at home, you can't just show up to any game. I think going into last night, 9 of 10 league games had been won by the road team, which is insane. Kansas is in a bad way
Who
right
is
now.
the best team in the Big 12 if it's not Oklahoma?
Right now, I would say West Virginia.
What about Tech?
Oh, I don't know. That was a really nice road win up in Lawrence, but I think that
Was that in Lawrence?
Yeah. It was the first time Tech had
Kansas
won
is
in
bad.
Lawrence. If Kansas can get back, and Kansas did not play well on Monday. I think they were 0 for 13 from behind the arc in the second half. If they get back Billy Preston, if they get the DeSouza kid going that just got cleared by IMG, he's supposed to join the team, or he has joined the team. I think he's supposed to get back out on the floor in about a week and a half. If they can get those two guys back, and then obviously they need better guard play, but
By
Kansas
the way,
is Kansas.
I wanna play this. Did you see the thing about John Calipari?
Yeah.
And Trae Young? I gotta play this real quick.
I knew how good he was, but I didn't even realize he was this good. The biggest thing in this, and it's a great lesson, Lon Kruger, who I have unbelievable respect for, basically said, we're going to play through you. It's all going through you. You're going to shoot when you want. And he did not lie. He did not lie. You're not going to be the only guy. You're going to share the ball. Hopefully, if he had come here, I would have realized early, this kid needs a little more room than some other guys that I've had. Hopefully, I would have realized that. But I knew he was good, which is why we recruited him so long. But I didn't realize he'd be able to do what he's doing, which is basically 80% of their baskets, 70% of their baskets, he either scores or assists. That's a ridiculous number. And so I'm happy for Trae. I hope we don't ever have to play him, but happy for him. He's a great kid from a great family.
So, I mean, and the thing that it is amazing is they really are one of the best teams in the country because of one guy, which, as good as Blake Griffin was, his second year they got to be that way. But, and like I said, if you put this supporting cast with Blake Griffin, I think that's a much better team. I mean, that might have been a team that could have beaten North Carolina that year in the Elite Eight with the shooters that they have.
I think the best.
They had
Tony Crocker.
Tony Crocker. Who else did they even have?
Austin Johnson.
Oh my God, David Godbold had gone. He was
a
senior.
Year. He was
when he was a freshman.
Before.
He didn't have
They would
anybody.
have Taylor. No, it was sophomore.
Yeah,
year.
Taylor would have.
Yeah, Taylor was 2 years ahead. No, he was a senior, wasn't he?
Taylor? Oh, Taylor.
He was a senior when Blake was a sophomore.
Yeah,
right?
you're right. Yeah, they had Taylor. Yeah. But that's nowhere near what they've got now.
It's been incredible, though. I mean, talk about, okay, they had Willie Warren, Tony Crocker, Taylor Griffin, Austin Johnson, my personal favorite, Cade Davis, Juan Patillo, Omar Leary, Ryan Wright, Ray Willis, Orlando Allen, Kyle Cannon, Bo Gerber, TJ Franklin. That was the roster.
TJ Franklin, I forgot about him.
So it's incredible. The people have started showing up at the Lloyd Noble Center. I thought last night was probably the best crowd on January 3rd Oklahoma has had maybe ever. I don't know. Usually these are non-conference games, so great job on scheduling Big 12, dumbasses. But it was not bad. It was a good experience.
All right, we got to wrap it up. We got a little beyond, but it was great to be back. We're great to be back with you. Finally doing podcasts again out of beautiful LA. I miss El Cholo very much so. Eddie got his in and out from California while we were there. What is going on there?
Somebody at Sooner Sports is probably going to get fired.
They just put up a Nick Bonito.
High school highlights
on Sooner Sports TV. Huh. Guess he did sign after all.
Well, we can talk about it at some point, but the whole idea that...
Yeah, by the time most of you listen to this podcast, Nick Bonito will be a Sooner, I guess. Announcing on the Under Armour game. That is interesting.
Didn't hear from us.
Sports TV.
Screenshot. Boom. That's how it's done, folks.
All right. Well, on that, we are out of here. I appreciate all the passion about Mike Stoops. I'm sorry. I'm just the messenger.
That is what it is, though.
He still has a job.
It's passion. Because any other program would just be happy to be in a playoff. But some people want blood, and it's understandable.
Look at you. Meshing with the fans.
It's understandable.
Man of the people.
You are a man of the people.
Always. For the common man.
For the common man, Eddie Radosevich. For Josh McQuistion. I am Carey Murdoch, and we'll see you guys next week as we get back on schedule with the Unofficial 40 podcast. We'll have Under Armour, U.S. Army to talk about next week, and possibly 10th Assistant. We'll talk some more about that as we go along. So that's going to do it for this edition. We'll see you guys next week, back right here on the Unofficial 40.
Podcasts from Soonerscoop.com.